Welcome to Lesson 2 in Unit 21, From Sun to Food. In this lesson, students will work together to answer the question, what do plants need to grow? In this lesson, students observe seeds germinating in a sprouter over time without soil. They will measure changes to the mass of seeds and record observations to gather evidence about what plants need to grow. Students figure out that plants gain matter or mass without soil. Students make connections to the storyline as they learn that plants use other materials and not soil to grow. This connection is being built between lessons 2 and 3. There are several opportunities for math and ELA cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 21 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 4 days to complete. For the Engage portion, you'll begin the lesson by revisiting the driving question board. Highlight questions connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions about what plants need to grow. You'll tell students that in the last lesson, they learned that food contains the energy living things need to move and grow. They'll start investigating what plants need to grow by using a sprouter. You'll ask students questions about what foods on pizza come from plants and what they think those plants need to make the food. You'll have students complete the first 2 questions on the Tomato Writing Prompt student journal page. After students have had a chance to record their ideas, they should discuss their ideas with a partner or small group. Once groups have had the opportunity to share, encourage students to share their ideas with the class to engage in a scientific discussion. For the Explore portion, you'll share with students that they will make one last observation and data collection of the sprouter trays and seeds in their Sprouter Investigation student journal page. Follow the Do With Your Class on Day 5 section of the appendix linked in the Teacher Guide. As students make observations, record the tray and seed masses, then add water to the sprouter, circulate, and use the provided questions to help guide student sense-making. Then, encourage students to use their observations and data to discuss and answer the questions in the Sprouter Investigation student journal page. For the Explain portion of the lesson, you'll bring the class together and lead a discussion about the students' observations from the investigation. Use the questions provided to guide your discussion around the question, what do plants need to grow? The goal of this class discussion is to analyze student observations and data to explain how the plant seed sprouted and started to gain more mass each day without being in soil. During the discussion, you will begin to fill out the Lesson 2 summary chart to keep track of the class's ideas. By the end of the discussion, students should know that to make pizza, people use plants for many of the ingredients, and on a pizza farm, people would need to grow the plants that make the food for the pizza. It's important to understand what the plants need to grow. For the Elaborate portion, you'll share with students that they can further investigate what plants need to grow. Invite students to share their ideas from Question 2 on the Sprouter Investigation student journal page. On the board, make a list of the things students think the seeds need to grow. Invite student discussion and try to narrow down the list to include air, water, and light. If other student ideas seem plausible, include those as well. You'll then share with students that they will now use the seedlings from the sprouter to set up an experiment to further test just which of these things plants need to grow. You'll divide students into 9 groups and assign each a group number and a variable their group will test. Give them the materials listed for their group. Be sure to reference the appendix, linked in the Teacher Guide, for complete instructions. Students will observe all seedlings individually and record their root and stem lengths. Pause this video to review the list of needed materials and the photos of items you can find in your kit. Allow students to share ideas and come up with an experiment they can do with the seedlings to test their group variable. Encourage them to use their ideas from Question 3 on the Sprouter Investigation student journal page. Bring the class back together and using student ideas, Develop an experiment that will test how the seedlings will grow in cups without air, water, or light. The appendix instructions provide a complete setup, which you can adjust using student input. As you set up the experiment, discuss fair tests and variables. Ask students if anyone remembers the meaning of variable. If no one remembers, you can share that a variable is something in an experiment that can be changed. You can also post the variable vocabulary card. You'll then ask students questions about variables in the experiment and discuss the meaning of a fair test. This is a good time to display the fair test vocabulary card. For the evaluate portion of the lesson, you'll share with students that they will look back to their initial ideas on the Tomato Writing Prompt student journal page. You'll read the instructions for the bottom portion of the page. You'll then ask students what they think it means to write an argument and what kind of evidence from the sprouter they can use to write an argument. Have students write an argument for the After the Sprouter investigation on the Tomato Plant Prompt student journal page. To support student sense-making across the unit, orient students back to the driving question board. Ask them, did we answer any of the questions on our driving question board? And what additional questions do you have now? By the end of this lesson, students will have observed what factors plants need to grow. In Lesson 3, students will continue an investigation using seeds to determine the importance of water, air, and light for plant growth. For the optional extend, you'll have students ask more questions about how plants might grow without soil or why we might want to grow plants without soil. You'll use a video to engage students in an exploration of hydroponics. For more information about this unit, visit myscipartners.com.